Hi guys, welcome back. Patreon people, please don't get mad at me. You have the written version of this, but you had it first, so you got first crack at it. So it'll always be over there for you over on Patreon if you're interested. I spent all day honoring Odin, so you're gonna get kind of the expanded version of the video. I spent all day honoring Odin and lit a candle, did all the stuffs, did how I honor the gods. And we wrap up with a light meal of tuna and a boiled egg, and that was very good. And all of a sudden, I want to go to the park really bad because I'm like, everything is going so well between us, and I had all these coincidences and all this perfect timing. Um, like I had told him something, and then I turned around and I saw like a transport plane, and I'm like, that's epic timing. So we were having all this stuff go on. And I'm like, we've got really good timing together today, and I'm feeling pulled towards the park. And Odin seemed fine, he seemed relaxed. And I'm walking out, and I walk past my friends, and I'm trying to navigate the DQ, and then, I go through this parking lot. As I'm going through this parking lot, I see a pocket knife. And it has this beautiful holographic pattern on it. At least that's what it seems like to me, because the sun's in my eyes and dazzling me. So I get it and I pull it in my pocket. I figured, well, I'm gonna check out later, because there was nobody around or anything. There was nobody around that could have been there, and it was on the ground. So I go on and I walk to go to the park to look for crow feathers, because I'm like, we're having such a good time together and our timing's so perfect together. I think I'm gonna find some crow feathers. And I'm going into the park, and first thing I see is there's this family camper in there. And that's not unusual, but it's like a family camper, and it has the bike on the back and everything else. And I start to slow down because there's no sound of kids running around or anything like that. It's not like a huge camper, but it would be big enough for a small family. And I'm walking in, and there's this guy sitting underneath there's like a pavilion in there. And it's hot guys. And he's dressed, so far as I can tell, all in black from his head to his feet, like long black sleeve shirt and, black pants and black boots and everything else. And I can't really get a good look at his face. I can't remember now if he had a cap on or not. And he's just sitting there stock still. And I thought, well, maybe that's the dad, but the park was dead quiet. There wasn't a single sound in the park. And my daddy always said, he said, once you see trouble, you just keep walking through, like you don't notice anything different. He said, that's a lot safer than running. He said, if you run, you're going to get shot in the back. So, I just kind of mosey into there. I give this guy a really wide berth, and he's just sitting there stock still. He didn't acknowledge me or anything. He didn't even move. Okay, he's just sitting there like this, staring straight ahead, and I'm thinking, oh, I've just entered the story where the serial killer kidnapped someone. And I walked, and I kind of looked like I was looking for a friend over at the pool, and golly gee, looking at the ground every so often, I looked at him and I nodded at him. He didn't move, he just kept staring straight ahead. And I very calmly turned around. And the whole time I'm like, there's something wrong with this dude. And I'm telling Odin, I don't want to fight this guy. And yeah, I am scared. But if you want me to, if it's my destiny to fight, if this guy's going to attack me, then I'll fight. I'll fight bravely. And thank you for, arming me right before I reached the park, because I didn't have any weapons on me, because you're not supposed to in the park. And this calm came over me after I prayed to Odin, this absolute calm. That's why I was able to just walk through there calmly. And, I came back and I was feeling calm the whole way back. I did look to see if he followed, and he didn't. He never even moved, not even a tiny bit. And I saw him, and he was real, and he was sitting there, but he never even moved. And I come back, and I'm coming back, and I'm like, well, I'll go see if anybody's sitting there. I really would hate to give this knife up, but I'll hand it over to them, and I'll say, hey, Man, I am I glad you dropped this because you won't believe what I just went through. And there's this huge black truck with these solid black tinted windows in the place where the knife was. And I'm like, what is this? The International Stalkers meeting? Is there like a convention going on and they're all just going to be lurking at different places? Because it just seemed ominous. It wasn't anybody sitting there listening to their music or something. It was just sitting there ominously. So I'm like, if that's his knife, I'm not giving it back. He doesn't seem like the kind of person that likes to talk to people. So I'm coming back, and I see my friends, and I can tell by their body language they don't want to talk, but I'm like, you know what? I would feel bad if I didn't warn them, so I told them that guy was there. And what I meant was if you see some guy driving this weird family camper, don't answer the doors, what I meant. But they're like, oh no, we're not going back there. We never go back there, blah blah blah. And then my friend said, she said, I don't want you going back there. I said, you don't have to tell me twice. I said that was like two indications to not go back there. And I get home and I get the knife out to look at it. And I thought I was telling Odin I didn't even know if I was going to be fighting with a broken knife or if there was even a blade on this thing or what, but I was gonna hope for the best or if I'd even have, time to unfold it. It was a lovely blade on it, and I finally got to see it, and it has skulls all over it, guys. It has a pattern of skulls with red eyes. And I'm like, that's definitely a gift from Odin. And the weird thing was, we had been shopping earlier and looking at statues that I can't afford because I wanted to get him something. He does have this one, but I wanted to get him a Odin statue. And he told me as we were walking towards the park that that knife meant to him more than any of those statues, and I could give him that as a gift. And that part hadn't made sense until encountering Mr. Spooky Man. And then that made a lot of sense. And then we came home and I cleaned the knife up because it was a little gritty from being on the ground because we're having a lot of flash floods and storms. That might be why it ended up out there. And he was like, yeah, that's the good gift. That's the good gift. And I'm still kind of pumped with adrenaline because you could just tell this guy. I don't know if I wasn't his type, if he was just so high on something that he didn't even wasn't even aware of my presence, or it was just he was waiting and I just wasn't what he wanted and he let me go. But I did every so often reach into my pocket. I didn't take a knife out, but my dad told me, he said, if you see bad people, he says, you reach into your pocket and you make sure you pretend you have something. And he says, you don't have to like make big dramatic hand gestures, but every so often, make sure they think you have something in your pocket. Because he says, just the idea that you might fight back will make a lot of bad guys go away. They're looking for an easy victim. They're not looking for anybody, that might potentially fight back. And I have my, as soon as I saw this guy, my shoulders went back and I'm walking athletically and looking at him trying to meet his gaze, but I couldn't even see him because he was back in the shadows. And it was just, it was by the grace of Odin that I got home. And I told him, I said, I'm lucky. Their God, and I'm not trying to exclude them, but their God, their version of God would have sent an angel or a voice would have told them. Odin's like, here's a knife. Carry this. Oh, I love you. Why are you giving me a knife? No reason at all. So Odin was like, here, have a knife. So that was a great story about the park. That park's always been kind of sketchy, guys. There have been times where I came back alive because I listened to my intuition or I had a weapon on me. It gets some good people, some good families, but it's like I don't know what it is. They should do a study on what it is about parks and people with problems, but a lot of them end up there. So this was like, this isn't right. So I'm going home. And I told my friends, he could have been a perfectly lovely person, but in the back of my head, I'm like, nope, serial killer. Serial killer. And I didn't call the cops or anything because he didn't do anything. He just sat there. He didn't do absolutely anything at all. I'm not even aware if he was breathing. But yeah, I didn't want to, you know, stay, obviously. But I didn't find any feathers, but luckily I found the knife. Maybe that's how I got back. I don't know. I know some people will be like, "You're overreacting." No, I spent a lot of time in the woods, and you know when people are normal, and you know when they're not so safe, and this was definitely not so safe. So I'm glad I got back to talk to you guys, and I told Odin, I said, I thanked him, I said, if I need a walk from now on, we have a couple different paths we go on. I said, I am not going back to that park. I said, you've spared me a couple times in that park. I said, I'm not going back. And it's always been things related to birds, too. So it's always been Odin, having my back for me. So I appreciate that. So I figured I'd share that with you guys. Not about, ooh, look what Odin did for me. But I want you guys to kind of be encouraged that, our gods do have our back. Loki, meanwhile, is, you know, almost catatonic. I'm like, baby, what's the matter? Because I thought, oh, he'd be telling me I was ready to fight too. He's like, you had a weapon. You were ready to fight. Yeah. you, you, and I'm like, are you okay? No, not really. Loki did not like the idea of me getting into a fight. Loki would have liked the idea of a god attacking. Loki didn't like that idea. I'm like, I didn't like the idea either, buddy, but if Odin says, hey, sorry, but today's the day you're checking out, and your natural curiosity led you to this moment, and this was kind of your fate. I said, at least I told him, I said I was scared, but I was going to die fighting. I tried to make him proud. There was no other option at that point. Running and screaming would only got me shot or God knows what, or pulled into that camper. I made sure to stay the F away from the camper and the F away from this dude so that nobody could grab me without a good sprint towards me, and I would have heard him coming, even if they would try to come from behind. So yeah, that was my exciting venture in the sketchy park. Wasn't that fun? But yeah, Loki will recover. Loki did not like that at all. But Odin has a very different teaching style. Odin's like, I expect, not everyone, if you're more of a scholar or something. And with me, he knows I'm relatively peaceful, but he's like, you've got weapons training? Here's a weapon. If that bad man moves, you can ventilate him, baby. Odin is a practical guy. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye bye.